Hi, I would like to start this webinar session by greeting Bishop Cotton Women's Christian College's students and its faculty members, and our sincere gratitude towards Professor Esther P.K. Samuel, Principal of Bishop Cotton Women's Christian College, and Professor Evangelina Rajkumari J, HOD, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, for providing us this wonderful opportunity and platform for this webinar session. So, I'm going to talk about an understanding and learning from the digital divide in education, where my main focus would be on challenges of online teaching and training and its impact on students' learning quality. Hello again, my name is Krishnamurthy. I'm a faculty member in the Department of English of Sheshadripuram College, Yelahanka. We all know that COVID 19 struck us without a warning and left us in the sense all the educational institutions scrambling to respond to its exigencies. It has also created a need for creatively deal with such unforeseen and once in a century catastrophic events that are being predicted as the new normal, because their alacrity has resulted in a spate of online classes for learners of every level, ranging from scholastic subjects, core scholastic areas such as fine and performing arts, to mental wellness and physical fitness. So we should have a basic sense as to what is online learning, because online learning is education that takes place over the internet, which is totally unconventional. It is often referred as e-learning among other terms. However, online learning is just one type of distance learning, the umbrella term for any learning that takes place across distance and not in a digital classroom. We have something called digital divide, because a digital divide is an uneven distribution in the access to use of or impact of information and communication technologies. The acronym is nothing but ICT, between any number of distinct groups. These groups may be defined based on social, geographical, or geopolitical criteria or otherwise. Because of ICT, high cost, its adoption and utilization is highly uneven across the globe. So, as a promise, I'm going to talk about the main challenges or the problems that the student community facing at this part of a time, especially at this pandemic situation, because even the penetration of digital technologies in India has been um, exclusionary, according to National Sample Survey report on education, because only 24% of Indian households have an internet facility, while 66% of India's population lives in villages. Only a little over 15% of rural households have access to internet services. However, urban households, the portion is somewhere between 42 to 45 percentage, because the teachers and school administrators have been advised to continue communication with students through virtual lectures or portals like massive open online courses. However, in the absence of physical classroom and a proper digital infrastructure, both teachers and students are facing unprecedented challenges. So I have listed out this important challenges, or you may call it as a problems. So let us go to the first problem that most of the students facing, that is online classes can be boring. I agree that online classes can be pretty boring. It's not only online classes, even in the regular classes students feel that it is boring, unless until if it is interesting, because the teachers However, it would be overly simplistic to sit back and relax, assuming the job to be well done. And there are serious challenges to quality and effectiveness in online learning, which largely remain unaddressed due to the overflowing self congratulatory or feel too good sentiments. Will the school uh, or the colleges be able to gain attraction and attention and keep the students' attention, or to make it as an unboring? Because although online training is meant to provide a solution to boredom and classroom-based learning, but this would always not be the solution or the problem. See, the second important difficult or the challenges that most of the students face, especially related to the urbanized student, that I'll come to, I'll cover that in the next point. Because comparing to face-to-face learning with online learning brings with four significant deficiencies in the online mode, such as lack of human connect, absence of opportunities of collaborative learning, teacher supervision, and the most glaring being a lack of opportunities for hands-on learning in complex subjects such as science and mathematics. Because this difference will obviously be much greater for economically and socially disadvantaged students. So the third problem is that I'm going to talk about how the rural students have been outcasted and outclassed, and trust me, the plight of rural students is really pathetic, because the difference will obviously be much greater for economically and socially disadvantaged students who do not have access to the privacy of well endowed domestic spaces, and these are precisely the students who also have the most difficulty in accessing online lectures. So it is a double whammy for them. The students who need the physical university space much more for students uh, are the ones who are deprived of it in a double sense, when the alternative online access is also so shaky for them that many well meaning teachers and administrators refuse to acknowledge the deep inequality in online teaching is baffling, to say at least that. But many signal how deep our class and caste biases are in the arena of the teaching and learning process. And we know that God knows that Zoom is not perfect, the sound can be terrible, and there are serious privacy issues. But for all its problems, Zoom helps restore the human connection missing the virtual classes, which is why several students said that everyone's camera should be during the session. Uh, which is also terrible at some point of time. You can see in this PPT slide that only 8% of household with members aged between 24 would have a computer or an internet access. uh, Students don't have a time for online classes, which I mean to say that while learning online offers the ultimate freedom to organize your studies around your private and professional commitments, it can lead to a complacency and a false sense of security if the appropriate uh, dedication and time is not set aside for a serious study, because online courses are every bit as detailed and demanding as their offline counterparts. Though the realization may not be fully formed yet of our time, the intangible digital nature of e-learning means that bad time management could lead to a lot of failure. And there is some sort of a intimacy problem as well, because there is a struggle to adopt to this mode of teaching, because the prospect of having an entire university experience or college experience compacted into a personal electric device is unusual to say the best. It can be evening for the students who have only ever known traditional classroom setting, because traditionally a degree of passivity is expected during lectures, particularly when note taking and listening, while discussion with the teachers is allotted a limited time. Online learning demands springing into action, accepting course material in a variety of multimedia formats, and taking part of the online discussion, which can be continuously indefinitive, you know. And at the same time, students cannot practice through this mode of online teaching, the mode of online teaching, because often the worth of online learning is not fully trusted nor given the respect it deserves. Though qualifications are accredited by esteemed universities or institutions, and the government is actually telling, you take classes through online mode, it questions the validity and credibility is met the skepticism, because the format is relatively new for all of us, not only for students, for including teachers as well, because progress of students is not overseen in the flesh. The perceived value is attending a campus institution. The social education is also viewed as something not to miss, which can lead to a cynicism when considering enrolling in online degree programs, or what we are doing currently. And the other important problem or the challenge that we basically face is that the quality of the course can become a mediocre, because working towards any goal requires dedication and motivation, and on the face of it, studying online can seem fraught with opportunities to lose these qualities. For one, there's this unlimited distraction of already being on the internet, and social media, YouTube, and news websites are as present as our next assignment. A lot of valuable study time can pass if you do not receive the proper mentorship from the teachers, because given the abstract nature of online learning, motivation in particular can take a hit, especially if you have already spent the day at work in front of computer screen. It's going to be difficult, not only to you, to the teachers as well, because what we are receiving through online classes is also questionable with the knowledge of credibility and the accessibility. So the larger question is that does this mode of teaching has any impact on our organizational skills, or are we learning something, are we gaining something is also important, because the gains are not only for the less enabled, you know those from endowed classes also get exposed to a larger sociality of their co-students from varied backgrounds. It is thus the space of the class that enables one not only to learn but also to share, question, love, and develop and deep intersubjective relations. And all this is a terrible lacking in the virtual space of online teaching. Even if the jokes are mimicked and the question and answers incorporated in a virtual spaces, the relationships are largely empirical and most importantly ephemeral, right? Lacking of the concreteness and durability of relationships in a physical space cannot be overplaced and replaced by the online teaching. So, my dear student friends and dear faculty members, I would like to conclude this webinar session, uh, because this stranded of argument that we are developing are brought together, that one comprehends what is so wrong in visualizing the online space as a place for regular education. In the context of pandemic, the situation is even worse, not better, for the suitability of surrogacy of online teaching. And I would say that the online teaching should not become a new normal. I would like to think, I would like to thank principal and the organizing secretary for providing this wonderful opportunity to be a part of this webinar. I thank you once again.